stream started. Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about JSON and HTTP request handling internals and how Python is handling for Python or FastAPI is handling it. And also we will implement the health API endpoint by using the 0x shadow article, which is XM article where they implemented in Rust, and we will try to replicate and implement it in FastAPI. I will explain I will explain the concepts and how we will we will go step by step to implement it. Let's get started. So till yesterday, till the last video, we understood about a few basics about JSON and HTTP request handling. We will deep dive into it little bit more. We will understand exactly what is happening and we will understand the whole concepts behind it. Like we till now learn about JSONs. Like here, JSON is doing three things. JSON is doing JSON libraries are handling data, like any type of data, object, array, string, number, and boolean. JSON is able to set in mostly in XM. We will see who is setting this content type and application JSON header, and serialization process and deserialization process also doing by JSON. We understood already the concept of serialization and deserialization. Serialization happen when we are sending the data from the backend to the converting the data when you're sending the data from the backend to the client server, and deserialization happen when you are getting the JSON data from the client server and convert it to the actual objects or array or string to use it or make it structured. Like here we get the path, JSON path, and here we divide it into method and path. So we will understood all this concept in detail, and then we will go to HTTP request handling internals also including that, and then we will implement this health API endpoint step by step in FastAPI. So let's search about it. JSON handling in FastAPI. Test body. How JSON request and response handled in FastAPI. How JSON request and response handled in FastAPI. help me to ask questions to get articles, blogs, answers from Google. Topic is I want to know in detail how JSON request and responses handled by FastAPI, how JSON in detail, and and then how JSON handle handled by FastAPI in detail, and JSON and how HTTP request response let's header set means HTTP in detail, like which library which library you who is used, who is responsible for JSON parsing, serialization, serialize and deserialize, and setting up headers or other things in FastAPI. You can give me one query or multiple search query. I think it's understood. I think. how fundamental JSONs behind the scenes. Let's search about it. Medium gray down. इसको पढ़ते हैं. Let's read this part first. Return data in JSON format using FastAPI Python. Body nested methods. How to stream. Okay. Control V. Let's come back. So here we will check once. What we will check. And this is also like something. Um, link a new tab. Defined using Bidentic model. How to generate an open API request documentation. No, not this. Custom HTML request. According to an introduction to using. Okay, let's see what will happen. Okay, first go through these articles, and then only we will understand. Like if we will have still doubt, we will check anything else. Okay. Sure. Okay, how FastAPI works and architecture and key points. Let me go through it. FastAPI designed a lightweight layer combining several powerful components in Python ecosystem. Okay, it's a lightweight layer combining several powerful components in the Python, ASGI and Starlet. Python FastAPI is built on Starlet and ASGI's servers, i.e. Synchronous Service Gateway Interface Framework. ASGI support means FastAPI can handle asynchronous request concurrently unlike traditional WSGI frameworks. What is WSGI frameworks? The form of WSGI. Full form of full form of WSGI. Full form of WSGI in Fast API. Let's see what it is giving. Standard specification that defines web servers communicate with Python web applications. Okay. Standard specification that defines how web servers communicate with Python web applications. Okay. So when you run fast API, yes, unlike traditional WSGI frameworks. Okay. So for fast API handle asynchronous request concurrently, unlike traditional web WGI frameworks. Starlight provides the underlying routing, middleware, and async server capabilities that like FastAPI extends. When you run FastAPI, you typically use a server like UVCon to serve it. UVCon is a lightning fast HTTP server that executes FastAPI apps and handles I/O at scale. Together, Starlit and UVCon enable FastAPI event loop and non-blocking request handling. You get a very good insight here. So here it is talking about ASG and Starlight. Okay. So Fast API is not alone. Consists of it consists of multiple things. Let's do this concept of ASGI and all. Hmm. This the problem is with. I think I need to watch the stream. Okay. Okay. So fast API, it is saying here that fast API is designed as a lightweight layer combining several powerful components. The meaning is here, right? Fast API alone not working. It is working with multiple different uh, layers, multiple different components. And here the components is Starlight and UVCon. So Starlight is the asynchronous service gateway, and Fast API is built on top of it. So definitely Fast API is taking like some Fast API using some of its features. Some definitely Fast API is inheriting, extending some features of Starlit. So let's understood that like what are those things Fast API is doing. First thing is that due to it have ASGI support, like asynchronous server gateway support, it can handle asynchronous request. Like previously we have not like where Python is only not like WSGI, and we understood the WSGI mean here that it is a specification where servers communicate with Python or web applications. So maybe that is a synchronous way, but of ASGI, yes, that is a synchronous way, but ASGI provides us asynchronous way to handle multiple requests. There are two things here, like ASGI. Let me get it clear. So due to the ASGI, we can able to handle asynchronous request. Second thing is that Starlit also provides the main thing, the routing, middleware, and obviously including asynchronous capabilities. Because then let's here there are two things. What is routing here? What is middleware here? And we already know about. We will know about routing and middleware. We already know about the asynchronous server capabilities. Like what is asynchronous? We understood in the previous chat, right? Asynchronous is where we send the request, and where generally we send the request, and that request is uh, able to wait. The request is waiting because we need some data from outside, like data is not present in the CPU RAM, so it is waiting for the data, like database operations or some input output operations. So till the waiting, we are saying the threads to handle other request by juggling to a different request. So the point is here, this is the asynchronous capability, so we can able to send multiple requests, and we can able to, that is the reason, like web, are you working in web framework, there can be multiple requests, so we are not spending more time in waiting, so we can able to, even one data, for one request waiting for the data or something, some operations to be done, we can handle multiple requests. That is asynchronous capability. We will understood routing and middleware little bit after some time. let's go to that. Let what else it provide us. Here it say that fast api is using this server capabilities. I told, right, server capabilities, but the server capabilities who is giving? UVcorn is giving. So for here two things. Here one thing, it is built upon Starlet which have these capabilities, but to access these capabilities we are using UVcorn to execute the fast API, to run the fast API. The server is, when you are talking of asynchronous server, the asynchronous server is UVcorn here, that execute fast API, handles input output at a scale, and it enable fast API event loop and non-blocking request handling. So we will understood more three things. So we will understood three things combining that enabling fast API to handle this request response process, right? One is it built upon Starlet, and it have the capabilities like it extending capabilities like routing, middleware, and asynchronous server capabilities that fast API extend because it is built upon Starlet. And this here the server what we are talking about, that is UVcorn server, that is responsible for executing fast API apps and handling input output request. So combining these, it enables fast API event loop and non-blocking request handle. So we will understood here, we will understood definitely what is fast API event loop, non-blocking request handling, what are those terminologies, and routing and middleware. Let's okay, let's see like how big this is. Like if it is a, what is routing, what is routing and middleware in fast API. Routing means it directs incoming request to correct function based on the URL path. Okay. Middleware is like a security checkpoint or filter that processes request before they reach your route function. A response before they go back, and response before they give back to. Middleware is like a security checkpoint or filter that processes request before they reach your route function and responses before they go back to the user. So we understood the routing means like when you have URL path, we generally say, right, so when we will find this URL path, this URL path should execute this method where it is mapping. So routing means that when we send a URL path from the client side, it will directly go to the function that it mapped, that is called routing. And middleware is that it is a checkpoint, like it needs to do some operations like authentication, logging before we send it to the, so when the request, when the user send the request, before it reach to the route functions, it need to do few things: authentication, logging. Without, if authentication will fail, then it will return back, right? No, which is not authenticated. No, it will not directly go to the route function. Before that, authentication is there, some logging is there, some processes is there. So this is a this is the work of the middleware. So when process request done and it is sending back, there also some processes are happening, like adding headers and adding status request. All these things are happening, and then the response is going. So all these processes are done by the middleware part. Who is the middleware? Routing we understood, and we need to know that who is the middleware in FastAPI. Who is doing this middleware process in FastAPI? FastAPI itself have its method. Who is doing the middleware part, that we will understood. So let's go here. So till now what we understood? Till now we understood about routing. Until now we understood the one point that FastAPI itself not working. FastAPI combined with multiple tools, multiple components, it is working. So what are those components? First thing is FastAPI is built upon Starlet, which is a ASGI server gateway. And this server as it is built upon Starlet, it extending few features like routing, middleware, and asynchronous server capabilities. We know that routing means whenever a path we called, it will go to the mapped function and it will execute that mapped function. First thing. Second thing, middleware. So when the user send a request, there are few processes happening in the middle. Authentication process or some logging process is happening. These processes are happening before it is reached to the routing method. And when the processing done and sending back, adding up headers, status code, and all these things are happening, then it is coming as a proper response to the user. So this is the middleware part. And asynchronous server means it have the capabilities to handle concurrency. Means it can, when a request is waiting for the data, as the data is not present in the CPU, so as the data is not present in the RAM, it is waiting for the database request or input output operations. So instead of wasting time on waiting, the threads is switching to some other request and handle some other request. So now let's understood who is this server. So we understood that this point, and also we get to know that UVCon is the server, ASGI server, which is making this possible for FastAPI. So it executes the apps, handles input output request, and together they together they make these whole functionality possible. And here we get to know that one more point, it enabling FastAPI's event loop and non-blocking request handling. What is the meaning of FastAPI's event loop and non-blocking request handling? So we need to know about that. What is the meaning of what is the meaning of FastAPI event loop? Like nice articles are not able to come because this is FastAPI event loop. Okay. FastAPI. What is the meaning of FastAPI? No, very short article about it. Please, let's see here. First API event loop is core of async application. Here it explain event loop, right? Let's understood the event loop. The event loop is core of async application. Async is a Python library, okay, which enables the. Let me explain a little bit about async. Async is the Python library which enables this asynchronous performance, asynchronous functions to run. Okay. I have a light breakout, so let's stop this stream. We'll stop this. You will start the stream again after some time, or let's wait for some moment.